so what are we looking forward to in 2019? What are you looking forward to, Heath?
Oh yeah. You know, one thing I am looking forward to is it looks like there's a return of the guys with power and speed. I remember a couple years ago I was reading an article about how the 30-30 player has gone away, and I actually pulled up like home run and stolen base leaders, and it seems like that type of player is coming back.
Yeah.
We're seeing some great guys like Betts and Trout, which we've already had, but it seems like the new guys as well, like Albies, Acuna, a few others. Let me see. Oh, let me go back to my other Google Doc because I listed off a few of them.
Yeah,
Here.
Glaber Torres.
Yeah.
You've
Glaber
got
Torres,
Jose
Yelich,
Ramirez.
yeah, Jose Ramirez, Tim Anderson's another comer, Francisco Lindor, Benintendi.
Lindor, yep.
Those are all types of guys that could be 20-20, 30-30 type guys, I think,
Yeah.
next year. And I think it's so much easier to build a team to where you don't have to do these one guy for stolen bases, one guy for home runs.
Right.
You can get these guys that do everything, kind of really fill up stat sheet. It seems like those guys do something for you almost every day as well.
Yeah.
Instead of you're waiting, and maybe once or twice a week a guy hits a home run for you, and other than that, he's kind of a dead spot.
Yeah.
I think it makes your team a little more exciting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you had Betts on your team, on maybe a couple of your teams
Yeah.
last year, and
Yes.
I mean that was huge, right? I had Jose
Yes.
Ramirez on a couple of my teams, and yeah, I mean, dude, you're getting everything from that guy: stolen bases, power,
Oh, yeah.
batting average, RBIs, everything. Those guys have really jumped up the rankings too. Have you looked at the 2019 fantasy baseball rankings so far?
You know, I have not too much. I checked Yahoo and they weren't up yet. So
yeah,
I didn't
Yahoo's
really
a
go
little
beyond
bit
that yet.
slow. Yahoo's behind the times.
Yeah, they are.
ESPN definitely has a list up, and there's a couple other
Mm-hmm.
ones that Fantasy Pros, I think, or something like that, has them up.
Yeah.
But Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor, they're in the top 5. Mookie Betts, of course, is right behind Trout. And I mean, Mookie Betts and Trout, dude, I would take either one of those. I'm gonna feel really good in the top 5 if I'm in the top 5 of the draft. With the class that we have, it's what we have really is a lot of young guys who are, showing signs of stardom. Like Betts.
Oh, yeah.
Like Yelich, like Trout, like all the guys that we just talked about, Jose Ramirez and Lindor, and that's really exciting, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, and it's kind of like these real athletes are playing right now that can do everything. I think, compared to some other eras, and I think we just kind of came out of a specialist era to where one guy steals bases, one guy hits home runs.
Yep.
And I think this is nice now to see these great athletes and just kind of like they could do anything if they want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it could be like.
I was just gonna say you kind of see these cycles in baseball, right? Where I kind of feel like maybe a couple years ago things were in a lull for players like this, but now we're in a good time in baseball to be baseball fans right now.
Yeah, definitely. We're not in those years where a guy with 35 home runs would lead the league. Things like that. It's like there's a lot of home runs, there's a lot of strikeouts. There's pitchers and hitters that having record type seasons. So it's an exciting time, and it's kind of like you're picking players like who knows how good they'll be. I mean, they're kind of the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
So it'll be fun.
And that's where fantasy baseball comes in, right? Because now you have to look at these guys and you have to say, okay, which one of these guys do I believe in? Which one of these guys is really going to come out and do what he did last year? Or who's going to turn it around, right? Who's going to bounce back after last year?
Yeah.
Because there's some guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw in our comments just last week or a couple days ago, a guy was just naming off a bunch of players saying, I've been burned too many times by Josh Donaldson and a couple other guys. And, it's like, are those guys going to bounce back?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of names out there that you don't want to forget about, too. Like when you're looking at those bounce backs. Like one guy I thought about today for some reason was Mark Trumbo. Guy that hit 47 home runs a couple years ago, but he hasn't quite played a full season in the last couple years since then.
Right.
It's kind of like maybe he could hit 40 and everybody's forgotten about him.
Yep.
And Josh Donaldson is another one. He's changed teams. He's been hurt a couple of times. A lot of people in your league might be mad about how many times they're burned by him.
Yep.
So yeah, those types of guys are interesting as well. We just kind of talked about the slow off season, but another thing I kind of looking forward to is seeing some guys in new uniforms and players on new teams. So it's just sometimes it's just interesting to see them in a new uniform and what the new ballpark and what the new manager might do help them out or hurt them.
Right.
And it always adds a new mystery to a player.
Absolutely. You mentioned Goldschmidt earlier. Yeah. Where did Goldschmidt go to? Is it St. Louis?
The St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I know that's a good park for hitting home runs, right?
Yeah, I mean, Big Mac land. So, and Albert Pujols played first base there, so there's been some good first basemen at St. Louis.
Yep.
So maybe Goldschmidt can continue that trend, and he's going to be playing for a contract.
Yeah.
If the Cardinals don't extend him sometime during the year.
Right.
So sometimes that gives players extra motivation as well.
Goldschmidt,
money motivates us all.
Yeah, absolutely. Goldschmidt had an interesting year last year because he started out really slow, really bad, but I think
he did.
He really heated up towards the end of the season.
He did.
And he ended with some pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and he's always an MVP candidate, but it's always been on the Diamondbacks, and so now Cardinals is it's a different hitting coach. Who knows if he'll bat in the same spot in the lineup?
Right.
Have a different guy batting behind him and in front of him.
Yep.
And just all those factors, you just never know how that'll affect somebody.
Yeah, the dynamic changes so much when you change a team like that.
Yeah, they do, and it's like, well, you feel pressure to reprove yourself to a new team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an interesting case of that was, I think, Evan Longoria going to the Giants. You could just see he was off his game, and he was pressing because he'd spent like 12 years on the Rays, and he said in some interviews he felt like he needed to reprove himself.
Right.
And so I think that could affect almost anybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, and I mean Harper and Machado on different teams, of course, will be interesting to see. And I mean that Harper's big left-handed power, how high in the upper deck he can hit in some ballparks would be fun to watch.
The other thing to think about too, I mean, you've got these guys leaving these teams, so what's going to happen to the guys in the lineup that Goldschmidt was hitting ahead of or right after, right? The protection that he was bringing, and same thing with Machado and Harper. What's that going to do to those lineups and those players? So those are things you got to think of when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah, and also it could open the door for a new young prospect to emerge. I mean, do the Diamondbacks have somebody to move to first base, and who will do that? And was that somebody you should keep an eye on?
Absolutely.
I haven't even looked yet. Who might play first base for the Diamondbacks next year?
Yeah, actually, that's that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. I mean, last year was a great year for good young players coming up and really doing something like Albies and Acuna. Right, Gleyber Torres. I mean, you had these young guys coming up and really being impact players. So it's what do we have to look for in 2019? For that. And I know there's a couple of guys right at the top of those prospect lists that are ready.
Yeah, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah,
he's going to be a big one.
He's going to be a huge one.
Yes, and a lot of people are going to be drafting him in the keeper leagues.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be targeting him myself, dude, because I think somebody got him last year in our keeper league and has him stashed already. So we'll see if he keeps hold of him.
Yeah, definitely. And could he impact us this year? Could he be another Acuna? Who I had Acuna on a team or two, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
The young guys, and that's another point I'm looking for in 2019, is who will break out this year, and who will be those young guys that will be the stars of the future that we'll start to see rising this year.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen with like Gleyber Torres and Miguel Andujar on the Yankees. They had some pretty good years last year, but the Yankees went out and they're solidifying with some veterans at those positions. And also obviously the Yankees, there's always rumors, but they've always been in on the Machado thing. What's that going to mean for these guys, right? And will these guys?
Yeah, I've heard.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard some that the Yankees have made Andujar potentially available for trade. I don't know if that'll happen, or maybe they think of platooning him with Bird some at first if Bird continues to not work out.
Yeah. They've also got Hoyt, who was great last year, down the stretch.
Yeah, so I mean, they have a crowded infield now with rumors of getting Machado too.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they're thinking that LeMahieu can play multiple positions. Mm-hmm. Troy Tulowitzki may be a straight up backup. Who knows? Like Gleyber Torres could play some shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gambling on Tulowitzki to come back and be that that star player he was after the last few years. Mm-hmm. I mean. I think he had foot problems with both of his feet, bone issues or something. Yeah. I mean, he's a long shot.
He is, and who knows if he's got shortstop type range. Maybe they're thinking third base or just straight up backup.
Yeah, for sure.
Play some first base with him. Who knows? But yeah, those Andujar coming back. I mean, I'm sure that's going to push him up the rankings. And but will he with the crowded infield, will he lose some at bats, and will that hurt your fantasy team if you take a gamble on him?
Yep, exactly. That's something we got to take into account. I noticed too that that Judge, not just to hang out on the Yankees for too long, but Judge is pretty high up there on the fantasy rankings right now. Even though he spent some time on the DL last year with that broken hand, I think he did. He showed that he's the caliber hitter that we saw in his rookie year, even though it was a shortened season for him.
Yeah, I think it's nice to be past that sophomore season.
Yeah.
To feel like he's a little bit more established and a little bit less risky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's just been a lot of guys that have won Rookie of the Year and then never did anything again. So a guy just even if it's a small step down, I mean, he hit 20-something home runs in limited time. So I think you can feel a little more comfortable going into the third season compared to a second.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot there to look forward to in those young guys. I think you got Eloy Jimenez and Victor Robles.
Fernando Tatis Jr. We got a couple of juniors, right? Former MLB players' kids coming up. I think Bo Bichette Jr. is another one. He, not junior, but Bo Bichette, who's Dante Bichette's kid. We got
and I think that's it's a good indicator of talent, or at least they're taught to play baseball right.
I mean, these guys grew up living baseball, right? With their dads playing baseball. So, we've seen that, and we've seen that throughout history that these guys, if they've got the pedigree, there's a possibility they could break out and be, big stars. So,
yeah, I mean, Griffey Jr., Bonds, Bryce Harper's dad was I believe a minor league player. So, and I think Derek Jeter's dad was either a minor league player or like a college baseball coach. And so, like, that just helps those guys, really learn the game the right way.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's exciting. Exciting.
Yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to in 2019. And I'm also looking forward to our channel, the growth we might see. Every year it seems like we get a little better, we grow a little more. And it's really encouraging to help us continue to put those videos up because, I mean, we're both full-time workers, we're both dads, and so it's like it's a little bit of a challenge to find the time to put up a video once a week.
It definitely, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's not like we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs waiting to put up a video. I mean, we're living a regular life, fathers, husbands, employees, all of that, and this is kind of what we do on the side, and we try to do it as best we can and as often as we can, and sometimes life gets in the way of that, but I'm looking forward to that too. I'm looking forward to getting into it, digging in, and doing some sleeper videos. Definitely want to do some mock drafts and some live drafts of the leagues we're playing in, and I really want to play some more fantasy baseball with our viewers. I thought it was a lot of fun last year in trying some of those different leagues that we tried out. I think that was another thing that we did last year that I'm not probably going to be up for this year is experimenting too much, right? We experimented with the league type, with the draft type, with the scoring type, and some of those I just didn't like. I didn't like the structure, but I would be willing to do more of what I do like.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I enjoyed the weekly categories quite a bit, those leagues. Some of them, it completely changed the values of players. I thought a few of them were almost broken to where certain types of players were favored just too much.
Well, it was broken in the sense where it wasn't a good player that brought you the most points. It was it was just because of the way the scoring system was. Mediocre players were valued at the same or more than big time players.
Yeah, I think we played in a couple points leagues where there's no penalty for strikeouts. So like a Joey Gallo was like a beast.
Yeah.
And then some where like a starting pitcher just too valuable. Like
right. Any
like one starting pitcher's good start. Yeah, good. Just a decent start was more points than like the best hitter for the leagues. And so I really just like the balance of like the best players all across the board. And you could have a variety of different strategies, and you could be successful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the daily or the I like the stats. How do you define it? Was it Roto? Roto is the other one, right? What are you?
I think Roto's like kind of like categories for the whole year.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
It's head to head.
Yeah, this one was just like
head to head.
Yeah, head to head
categories. So
yeah.
I really like the head to head categories, and we were in a couple of those. One of them was a daily lineup. One of them was a weekly lineup, which is our regular league. And even the daily, I was able to keep up with that, and I liked that. And that's our keeper league, and we're doing that on the side, and we're playing that. We're going to do that again for sure, because it was a keeper, so we have to.
Yeah, we got to. So we got to get that invite from the guy that runs the league and get that going.
Yeah.
And got to pick our keepers.
In fact, I think I'm owed money still on that league, but we'll
settle up.
Yeah, I'll just have to put it towards next season. So.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot to look forward to. Support us. Click on things like our Amazon link in the video description, things like that. Because like we said, we shoot everything back in the channel. It just helps our channel grow, helps the quality grow. Like we can continue to get better mics, so you don't have to listen to bad sound quality, better editing equipment.
Yeah, for sure.
All that stuff. It's pleasant on your eyes and ears.
Yeah. Well, and share. I mean, you guys you're all in fantasy baseball leagues, right? Obviously, that's why you're here. So share this with your league. Share our video, share our insight,
definitely.
and get them into this community, into the community that we're talking about. Because obviously, you're not going to agree with everything that we say, and sometimes we make good calls, sometimes we make bad calls. But let's create that community. Let's get us all together. Let's all discuss fantasy baseball. And have that conversation pushed forward, and the more people involved, the more insight we're all going to have, and the better baseball players or fantasy baseball players we're all going to be. So, I think that's the best part of it, right? I'm a better fantasy baseball player since we started doing this channel because of all the engagement that we've received.
Oh, definitely. It goes beyond just like 10 of our friends now. It's a whole lot of people where we get input, feedback, and we see a bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So super excited. So I'm looking forward to putting up some more videos, and again, we're gonna do some more like this, where Heath and I are on the phone talking to each other and giving you our insight. So super excited.
Definitely. All right, so give us the categories you want. Comment a lot, and thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we really appreciate it.
And of course, stay dumb.
Stay dumb.
Dumb guys.